Hello, my name's Joel Hargis with the Florida Aviation Network, and we're here at Sun and Fun 21. And it's a beautiful, beautiful week, and everybody's excited to be back at Sun and Fun. We got a lot of people showing up. There's a lot of airplanes and campers out there, and if you are not here, and you should plan on coming because we are going to have a great show this year. I am with Jacqueline Byrd this morning, and Jacqueline is actually the superintendent of the Polk County school system. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
And so for people that aren't aware, Lakeland has probably the best aviation program in the country for high schools. And of course, Jacqueline being the superintendent of that, we kind of want to drill down and understand how you do that, and you know, how that kind of got started, and how it gets supported, because it's a very unique program, and ultimately maybe give some pointers to how other school systems can bring that into their curriculum.
Would love to. You know, and I can't take full credit for it because I came into it and I'm just walking through the path of someone else that created. But what I can tell you is that it was a unique partnership with Mr. Ray and with Sun and Fun and with the Polk County school system. One of the things we wanted to do is how do we help our students who want to go in aviation, not just pilots, but they want to be mechanics, and how do we help them? How do you build a program? So having an academy that's all it focuses on, and to draw those students into that and that attention, and it was built right here in Lakeland, right on the campus of the airport, and the students attend here. So a lot of our classroom experience is in the classroom, but it's also in the sky. So to have that program and the knowledge that we have with some of our community leaders, our partners that we have in the system, and even one of our local colleges has really afforded us the opportunity to give back to our students, to allow them to understand what does it take to be in aviation and how do they get there.
That, you know, that I think that's great, and again, so it's not just becoming a pilot. It's like you mentioned, mechanics.
Yes.
So are you aware of all the different courses in aviation that are offered here?
I will tell you, I'm not aware of all the courses, but what I can tell you is that there are so many different trades and different things that these students can go into with the mechanics and the pilots and working on the airplane. And I really want to highlight this. It's not just a field that attracts males, because a lot of times the females think this is not for me. There are a lot of our females that come out of CFAA, they're actually working on planes right now, or either they're flying in planes. So, you know, to have that and to have the experience of the instructors that we have to come back and to make sure that we give back to these students, that is just top notch.
And I can tell you, here at the Florida Aviation Network, we benefit from that a lot. And the reason being is because our crew here in the studio this morning are aviation students. From most of all of them are in the aviation school, and they volunteer. I mean, our camera people, our floor manager, are students of the program. And so here they are, you know, from learning aviation, now they're learning television.
Yes.
And learning how to run cameras and do sound and produce shows and stuff. So we benefit from all of that ourselves. So let me ask you this, because you know, getting aviation into a curriculum of a high school is something kind of near and dear to my heart. I have kind of started a series called Teaching Youth Aviation here at the network, and one of the things we're trying to do up in Lake County, where I live, is trying to maybe get a program going up there. can you give any advice on how do you get that started? Can you give a process? I mean, this is a unique situation, but give us an idea what that takes.
Yeah, I think, the first thing it's going to take is the partnership with the school district and your local airport, and then some of those leaders that are in the field of aviation. Because you can put up a program anywhere, but how do you sustain that program? It's going to be with the experts of that field. So you're looking for the people that's in the field of aviation, but you're also looking for, is the school system ready to venture on that? It's very unique when you understand that you got students that are going to be actually using books as curriculum, but they're actually going to be flying. They're going to be taking off and they're going to be in the skies. That's what going to be some classroom lessons also. Are they willing to make that commitment? So it's very unique, and you got to have people that's willing to, one, take that risk, two, you got to have them that's willing to make that partnership long term. It's not a short term experience.
Can you give any, what do I want to say, suggestions on, because one of the holdups is funding. Is there any tricks or advice you could give that we could take, or for anybody in any state that wants to do this, to get it funded?
Well, I'll tell you, we were fortunate with Mr. Ray and the foundation that Mr. Ray has here in Polk County for our students in CFAA. The funding is quite expensive. However, it's going to take those partners that this is what you really want to do. You want to invest in our youth to go forward, to create those future pilots, those future mechanics. And it's going to take some funding from private sources and partnerships to come in, create a foundation to have those scholarships for students to do that. When they leave your program, they should be able to leave with hours of flight time that they can at least go and continue and become a pilot at a Delta, a Piedmont, or any of those airplanes that they can. But it's going to take that private funding. As a school system, we cannot fund that totally, because it's very expensive.
Yeah.
And we have all the other categorical fundings. But the private entities, that's where we need your partnership.
Seek out sponsors.
That's the key.
Seek out sponsors. I'm hearing you loud and clear. Now, does any of the cost ultimately fall on the kids? I mean, like going out and take flying lessons is like a lab, I guess, right?
Right.
And so does part of that expense fall to them to a point, or?
Some of it does. Here at CFAA, and I know Mr. Ray, and I keep saying Mr. Ray because that's how we all started here. We have the foundation that those funds are in there to help those students, because a lot of our students may not have the finances to do that, but this is a passion of their heart that they want to continue this. So we make sure we have that we can offset some of that for those students, and really we offset the majority of it because it is part of the curriculum.
And even in the, like an AP program, airplane power plant mechanic program, you still need motors to work on, you still need tools to work on, and that's still largely through donations. Do you have other corporate entities that maybe a Lycoming or Continental, do they donate engines? And
They do. They donate engines. We actually had a plane donated to us, and the plane turned into a classroom.
Right.
So if you look right outside, we have a plane, and I can tell you, if they fire it up, they understand everything. And the first time they fired up, I thought the stop sign was going to blow away, because it actually, it is really what happens. But what better way for that to happen? And with the donations we get from them on these things, the students get their hands on. They get to see what it is. So when they go out there and get these jobs, they actually have done this work before.
Oh, for sure. No, the experience is obviously. It's just fantastic, right?
Yes.
And so align yourself with corporate partners and do things like that. How about, and again, you have such a unique opportunity because you basically built a school for this.
Yes.
And I'm sure Polk County had to participate in that.
Yes.
How did the school board react when, like, we want to build a school and focus on aviation? How were they with that?
Well, I can tell you, and I wasn't here at the time when it happened, but the person that actually really embarked on this, that was part of the school system, shared the information with me. Quite naturally, they were nervous because, again, this is something you're taking a risk on. Most of the school system is built on in seats, in classrooms, a brick and mortar, not really in the sky with that. So that was one of the things. How do you bridge that, and how do you understand? And then we had Aero Club that makes sure that we created that process for our students with the flying and different things of that nature. But the school system, when they really took a good look at it and they felt the interest of what was coming from the community and our students at that time, and the business partner that was coming forward that really wanted to make sure they give back and create this program, they were willing to go out. Polk County is unique. We have a lot of different academies here in Polk County. This is one of the premier academies that we have. So it was one that they felt like it was going to benefit the kids, and we can put it right on the airport right here. And that way it was a partnership. So understanding that they're in class, but they're actually with getting flight lessons from actual people that have flown planes. It's just not you're putting myself as a former classroom teacher to fly.
Yeah.
You got to have some experience there.
Well, obviously, you to learn to fly, you got to be with a CFI, and so is there an accreditation process to get, because most CFIs, some of them don't have a degree, right? I mean, they went the route of aviation and they didn't get a 4-year bachelor degree.
Correct.
And so is there a challenge getting them accredited to teach part of the syllabus as instructors?
Well, I think what you look at is that is part of it that they teach, as well as the curriculum pieces of it, because it is an academy. And with our academies, it's very unique because we know there's a different skill set that comes along with it. It's not just a curriculum basis, but what is that academy really leaning towards? What is that program leaning towards? So they have those additional credentials that go into that we make sure we honor as well. Like you said, the CNI and those credentials to certify them for that. Because we can't have a program if you don't have the certified instructors in that field to actually lead that program.
Exactly, and so the syllabus for the actual school obviously has to be approved. Is that a school board approval? Is that a...
They have their board as well. So CFAA they have their board that they really make sure they look at, and that board is built up of professionals that understand the working of what's going to go into aviation as well. So once they have that everything approved that they know they need to make sure that the students understand, the students are actually able to come out and master, that does come to us as well. And it meshes with our regular curriculum. So if you look at some of our programs that are more like an elective program, these are something similar to that, but it's more in the field of aviation that's really just tailored just to that, as well as the other curriculum that they have.
Right. So when you go to this high school over here, obviously you study English and history and
you have all the credits that you have to make sure you master.
Government and econ or whatever it is, but you're also teaching different courses of aviation that's correct. That you take at a freshman level, a sophomore level, a junior level, a senior level.
That's correct.
So it's 4 levels. So the nice thing about, like, if we were to expand it to other high schools, is that duplicatable? Is that something you guys would share with other school organizations?
We would love to share it, Joel, because we're only as good as we can get when we make sure we bring others along with us. So we would love to share that. What I would say is that you have to make sure you have that infrastructure there. And again, the partnership that you're going to need. It's just not going to be the school system on the side of it. It's going to be the aviation side with your local airport as well. That's going to be the key there. So
you could share that. So
yes.
Because I mean, which comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? So the fact that we could, any school in not just Florida but in the nation could reach out to Polk County schools and say, would you share your syllabus, your high school syllabus, which is a 4-year program, right?
4 years.
And you could share that, and then they could at least read that and start wrapping their head around what it's going to take to do this.
Right.
Right.
And you know, the best people to get this information from are our students.
Yeah.
We do tours, and I tell you, they're awesome to tell you about what all they've gone through, the interest level that they have in the program, what they had to study, how to prepare for it. And then we have former students that often come back, and they will tell you how they're doing after graduation of this program. And I can tell you, that's really what keeps this program. It's the kids.
Oh, for sure. And so you have any data on the success rate of kids coming out of the aviation program that continue on and have jobs, be it pilots or mechanics or ATC or...
I don't have the hard numbers, but I can tell you we do have several students. They've actually came back to Sun and Fun and brought their planes, and they would fly in to share, flying for Delta, working for American Airlines. So we do have students out there, and they don't have a problem coming back. But all of our students, as you know, in the field of aviation, they need these students to come in now hands-on. It's like everything else. It's, you know, the field is really getting a little narrow, and so what better than to have our students prepared and to go out and you know, secure these jobs right after high school.
Yeah, I mean, such an opportunity. I mean, college is so expensive, and there's other choices, right? I mean, aviation is certainly, and I mean, you can make a good living in any of those fields, and so I think that's fantastic, and I'm sure they're probably your biggest cheerleaders, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
So let me ask, how many times have you been to Sun and Fun?
Actually, I'll tell you, Joe, when I first came to Polk County in 2013, this was my first stop. And it was my first stop to come to Sun and Fun and to go to CFAA because it was a unique program I had never heard of before. And I came in from Duval County, and we tried to do something similar at our local high school, but not with the airport. So to come and actually witness CFAA and then come to Sun and Fun, and it was just definitely different. But it was my first stop. So when I came out to the school and then they told me about Sun and Fun, I'm like, well, how do we manage all of that at one time? I got a school and I got Sun and Fun going.
Right.
And I got planes flying in, I got students learning. But you know, they merged that, and they come out and they just come and they work with everyone, and it's what they love. So I've been to Sun and Fun every year.
And so I have to ask you, the first year you came here and you saw all these avid, enthusiastic pilots and everybody just everything aviation, what did you think about all of that?
I said they didn't have it when I went to high school. I wish they would have, because a lot of times, you know, this is what changed the trajectory of what you do, your trajectory in high school, to have these type programs. And if this was it could have piqued my interest, because one, it's a good living. Two, you get to fly and see the world. So.
That's right. And you know, the other thing that I really like about the high school is it gives exposure to women, and even, you know, more to minorities. They become exposed, and it's right there, it's ready. It doesn't seem like it's unattainable because it's in high school, right? It's just let's take this, you know, and maybe that's how it starts for some of them. So I really like that. You know, we need more women in aviation. We really do, and I know a lot of women pilots, and they're good pilots because they're good with details, and they focus.
We are.
You are. No, I will absolutely agree with you, and so I really like that part of it. If you could give advice to the kids, let's start with that question. Okay. What advice would you give to the kids that have the opportunity to do this? What would you say to them?
So I would say to students, again, if this was a program that was actually there when I was in high school, it really probably would have piqued my interest to get into it, because I like to move about. I like to go around and see different places. I say to you, don't let the fact of some of the curriculum scare you, because one thing about it, you're going to need that no matter what. But look at the program in itself. This is a program that you don't get everywhere. It's not everywhere. You know, to get into aviation, you can do it while you're in high school. You don't have to wait until you get out of high school and 4 years later and say, I want to go into aviation. You can get it right while you're in aviation. Take advantage of the program that's out here now.
So, and I just to embellish that, the thing that I see of it as an advantage for kids that want to do it in high school is learning to fly is considered difficult. Mm-hmm. But when you break it into a 4-year program, Now you're
Right.
you're eating the elephant one bite at a time, right? So I think that what a great way to do it,
It is a
because
great
you're
way.
not inundated. I mean, I learned to fly in like 7 weeks from first lesson
Wow.
to check ride, and I was consumed, right?
Yeah.
But boy, if in high school, if you just did it a little bit at a time, I think that would be great. So I got one more question for you. What would you advise to people trying to get it into a high school, trying to get a program into their local school system, and if there's anybody within the school system, because this will all be on tape, so and so we can say, hey, this is what the superintendent in Polk County
Right.
says for advice. What advice would you give them?
Well, the one advice I would say is make sure you do your homework on the program. Make sure you do your homework, and make sure you have the backing and the support of your community, because it is very different. The other advice I would say to the local community is look at what it can do for your students long term. This program has been here, and it's going to be long term, and it's going to be here even after I leave. But look at all the students and what it turns out for your students. There's an interest in our students that they want to become pilots. They want to fly. You know, our students love to do things different. They're just not going to do the same thing that they did, you know, go to school to be a teacher, doctor, lawyer. This is what we can offer them now. You can come out being a pilot, and you can do it right after high school. So do your homework. Come out, see CFAA, come visit. Let us show you what we have done here.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And then you can actually make a decision, and we can walk you through some of the steps. We got great partnerships here. We don't mind sharing our success with you to be successful.
So, boy, you just made a light bulb go off for me. So anybody that was thinking about it and had concerns or doubts, you will actually give them a tour
Oh, yeah.
and explain to them. So you could bring your school board members, and you would have people that could help show them around, and you know, because seeing is believing, right?
Exactly.
And so, oh, that's a great idea. Oh, I've learned so much.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Jacqueline, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, I think it's just awesome what you do here. Like I say, you are the gold standard, and it's something that I know all of us that love aviation would like to see expanded around the country.
Yes.
And so, I'm Joel Hargis with the Florida Aviation Network here at Sun and Fun 21. Come and see us here.